Okay, maybe I should stop sharing. Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for attending the Hangout. We will stick to maximum 1 hour this time. It's I'm pretty occupied with the family and baby time. So let's just get started. I'm just going to talk about the next release of the Cerebral 2 because it doesn't break, but it will have lots of deprecation warnings. And then I'm going to talk about the next update we're going to do. And then if Wayne attends during this hour, he will demo GraphQL. So hopefully he'll join. So let's just get started. Let's see, hide. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is something called tags. And then I'm going to talk about, and this is for like the next pull into master, which will publish a new next version of Cerebral 2. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the computed replacement. And then, yeah, GraphQL if Wayne attends. Cool. So, and please just interrupt me and let me know if suddenly the sharing of the screen stops, or if you have any questions. So, tags. Okay, so what we've been doing now is when we export a signal, and we want to use the operators, we do like set, and then state, and maybe input from Cerebral, oh my, operators. And then we say set state foo with input foo, for example. Now, the thing is that like state and input is not like operators, really. And we started to see that we could use these tags, or operator tags, as we've been calling them, other places as well. So with the next version, you will rather import state and input from Cerebral tags. And the operators will be actual like signal action factories, which they actually are. And state and input imported from tags are actually tags. But they work the same way. But the cool thing now is that inside, let's see, it's called connect. When you now import connect from Cerebral, let's say Inferno this time, just to congratulate Inferno with their release. And you connect your component. You will now also use, oops, let's just do this right. You will now use state to define state dependencies. And there's no need to put a second object anymore to define signal dependencies. You can just import signal. So tags are like targeting things inside Cerebral. So if I want a signal here, clicked, I can say signal clicked instead. And the great thing about these tags is that they can compose. So if I, for example, want to, I want like an item. So I have like items. And I want to compose in state with the current item key, for example. I can do that. So I can kind of like declaratively define my state dependencies, just like we declaratively define our signals. So this is kind of cool. And you can also import props. So we don't have to use the props like this anymore. You can, though you still can if you want to, but you can actually use, let's say, item key came from props instead. we can do it like this. And connect will track all the state dependencies and make the component update, all that, just as normal. This really cleans up and makes these tags more powerful, because now it opens up for using them not only in Connect, but we can also use them other places. Like I demoed barely last time, in the router, it's possible to use these tags to bind queries to state or to the input or whatever. So that's really cool. Yes, so that is tags. Another thing I want to show you, let's see, is that inside actions now, and this is more low-level stuff. It's not like typical for your application, but maybe you want to create your own operators and want to go crazy. There is a new provider inside actions now called Resolve arg. And Resolve arg doesn't really make sense to use in a plain action. It's more a thing for action factories. So if I wrap this in my action factory like this, and then I have my action, which I return, and then in some signal, I'm using this, my action factory. And the point is, I might have some, I should maybe have an example here. I don't know. I don't have an example. I'm not too creative today. But the point is, I can pass in an argument here, and then you can say resolve arg. Oh, sorry. You can say resolve arg, and then you can resolve this argument to a value, for example. What this means is that, if I say value, what this means is if I pass in foo, then this will become foo. But if I pass in state foo.bar, then this value will become whatever is available on inside the state tree. So if I have like foo bar bass, then this would be bass. Like it resolves the argument, it being a tag or just a plain value. But what's also kind of cool is if I put a function in here instead. So we have like plain values, like serializable values, like objects and arrays and strings and numbers and booleans. And we have tags, but we also have functions. So if you try to resolve an argument that is a function, it will give that argument the context of the action it's running in. So here I have access to the context, and I can, for example, return context state get blah, or again, foo dot bar. Then this will result to bass. So if the argument is a function, it will call that function with the context of the action, and it will, whatever that function returns will be the value. So you can do crazy stuff with this. You can even like use resolve arg inside here again and like compose and compose and compose, which is kind of cool. But as I said, it's kind of low level. So, but it opens up for lots of possibilities. You can also resolve arg path. So if this was a tag, for example, state foobar, then this would result to foobar, like the path of the tag. And then we have the possibility to check if the argument, oops, this is true, false. So you can check if it is a tag or not. Yes, and this is actually used throughout Firebase and HTTP provider and forums right now. So it really cleans up the use of resolving tags and stuff like that. Which is pretty cool.
Woohoo!
Woo! Yes. So this, I haven't talked to Alexei, but I think we'll merge in this branch, or sorry, this pull request after the Hangout. And then I have run this branch on our project, and it runs just fine with a bunch of deprecation warnings. So you should be okay.
Christian, may I ask you a question? In that case, the const value equal resolve arg.value argv. It's not the same like const value equal argv a, because it's also available inside the function.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Look, the arga
Mhm.
in the factory is available inside the my action, so I can use const value equal rga if it's a boolean or a string.
Ooh,
It's the same
yeah,
instead
yeah.
of going around through resolve arg.
Yeah, so this would be like if you, sorry, a very good point here is if you don't know what kind of, like if you want arg-a here, let's see, if you want arg-a to be, it can be a tag or it might be a plain value. For example, a good example of that is like set, food bar. This could be a plain value or it could be a tag.
But the tag is not resolve in the place where it's called. No, it's inside the body, right? That's why you need the resolve.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Exactly, because the action, because the only way it can resolve the value is if it has the context of an action.
I see. So for plain values, we can just use arg-a, but resolve arg is more generic.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, now it's clear. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Another question here. And why we have two ways to resolve? I saw that ARKA will have also some API to get value, get pass, and we also could check if it instance of tag. Why we have two APIs here?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like you could say if arg-a, if resolve arg is tag arg-a, then the value is arg-a get value. But the problem is that you have to manually create the getters so that the tag is able to resolve its value. So this hides that implementation, just makes it easier. Because what we did earlier here was that we passed in the context like this for it to resolve its value. But now it doesn't have to do that. That is kind of like inside resolve arg, because resolve arg and this action shares the same context. So it's possible to kind of hide that implementation. Does that make sense, Alexei?
I think so. But another question is resolve arg is acceptable for? I just don't get fully etymology of this context resolve arg.
Well, why
Could you turn the mic off?
Like, for example, like a tag, for it to resolve its value, it needs access to the input, and it needs access to the state. And it needs access to the controller get signal method. And the tag itself is like, it doesn't know anything about what's running inside Cerebral. It doesn't have access to like the current input or anything, because it's kind of like it's coming from the outside. So for the tag to get information about where it can grab the state and where it can grab input and where it can grab signals, we need to provide it from the context. If that makes sense.
I just asked why it called resolve arg.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe that was a quick decision.
And another question was, is it acceptable for all and all think that is good naming. I just don't have own opinion on it right now, so I'm asking all others.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I don't know what the alternative would be, because you kind of like resolve different things, and yeah, arg. Like, it could be argument, but that's kind of long. I don't know. If there's a better suggestion, please come with it. Come up with it now. I don't have a strong opinion either. It just makes sense that kind of like it does resolve something, and what it resolves is an argument.
Hi there, just coming a bit late. Yeah, I didn't like the resolve arg name either, so I'm glad if we find something else. I tried to find something better, but resolve could work for me. But
just resolve?
Yeah, but it might look very strange to newcomers.
Yeah. What about resolve params? Params? Resolve params.
Yeah.
It could be resolved tag, but I see a point that it might be not a tag, but just regular value. So.
Yeah. What about ARKS? Very shortly.
ARKS GetValue, or I don't know.
You know, ARKS and RGV will resemble the name parameter from Python. At least some people can find something similar. RGV is for dictionary. ARKS is for a list of. So maybe RGV would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's for objects. I don't know.
Christian, I have another point here. I could try. We could use internal tag API, but on context we can have a helper to pass getters, prepared getters. So we could put getters on context and just pass it to tag API.
But then, okay, so just to write that out, it's possible to...
Yes, of course. Yeah.
What an arg a instance of tag is arg a get value getters. That would also be possible. And getters, just to explain that, getters is state function input, and it's a signal function to grab the signal. So that's how tags work. They use their type, the tag type, and matches it with a getter, where it passes in the path, and then it resolves a value. But yeah, what's kind of annoying about this is that it's quite a bit of work to change all this in all the packages. Already did it twice.
But if we do this, we step backwards because we cannot use plain functions anymore. That's really bad, I think. I agree that resolve arg does not look so sexy, and maybe finding a better name is good. But just having instance of tag means we cannot produce our own functions to put into operators, and that's really sad for me. No, no.
Yeah, you could still do it. You could just do this and then pass in the context.
Yeah, but then how do you? That means you have to write the whole detection of what this argument is for every library and every action, and everyone has to do it. And if someone forgets to take into account plain functions, then my thing works in this library, this one, this code, but not in this one. So we need something that's resolving.
And suddenly we come up with a new tag. We want then everybody has to
update, and that's silly. We need something to resolve these arguments that is the same for everyone. It really doesn't matter where it comes from, what it's named, but it has to be consistent. Otherwise, we'll get it to hell. It works here. It doesn't work here, and that's really something we want to avoid.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree as well. And resolve arg it's not that bad. You know it. You know what it means. Resolve arg. Yeah.
And it is rather low level. It's not something you typically use, and if you use it, it's kind of like to extend Cerebral, extend the Cerebral API for your application. It's not something you combine with like your specific application business logic. It's rather extending the platform for building your application, kind of, if that makes sense. But normally I'm not like a huge fan of hiding implementation details, because you can like lose flexibility somehow. But in this case, I think it's a benefit because we can do whatever we want with this resolve arg. We can change the implementation underneath, and
For the name, I think since it's low level, as you say, why not call it resolve argument? And so like no abbreviation, and it's long, but we don't use it that often, and so that's it. For me, that's very good because it's simple, it says what it does, and I mean, like you said, it's not something we have in every action, right?
Yeah. In our project, we wouldn't use this at all, really. At least not for now. Maybe later. But then again, maybe this is one of those things that might be very beneficial, and people find new use cases for it. But,
another question, Christian. Should resolve argument be on context? Aren't it could be possible to pass just context to some function and prepare getters from it?
That's what it used to do. The problem is, the problem is that it's not the same. Like connect doesn't have a context, so it needs to have a common API inside itself to know how to fetch things. So that is why I called it getters, because that's like the tag API for grabbing values.
I mean, we can have a helper function which we can import, and it will convert context to getters to pass to tag API.
You mean like to get there? Let's see, tag.
No, but what it could do is like it's a function that takes two arguments. The first one is the context, and the second one is the argument. So it doesn't have to be in the context. It could be like toValue, and then you put the context as first argument, and the second one is the arg_a, or toPath, or to no, the other way around.
Oh yeah, like
toValue. a context, and then arg_a. That could also work. So it does the context mangling stuff inside, and then it's just a wrapper around what you just did. It's the same thing.
It also will not pollute context, which is shared thing.
Yeah.
And we don't have this big special name problem now, because it's just two value from tags, two value or two path. And I think that's kind of nice.
Or maybe just GetValue and GetPass.
Yeah.
Yeah, GetValue. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's related to tags.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And then it's also easy to see from the imports why you're having this special thing here. You're importing it from Cerebral tags.
But it's not too much ceremony around the code. The original solution was simpler after all. Maybe the name was ugly, but no, the number of line of code was less code, less books. Simpler.
Yeah.
But I agree with Guria here that having not these helpers in the context makes sense. The context is the context. It's not helper functions.
Yeah.
It's right. We don't need helper functions in the context. And this is just a helper function.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. One thing that's kind of, I don't know if it's possible to do both in the structuring. Like if you want to use states here, like you can't use the structuring because you need to pass in the whole context. But again, like you can say state input. Not that bad.
Christian, yeah. Another good addition, we can omit if arg_a instance of a tag in this case. Check.
Oh yeah, yeah.
GetValue and GetPass could do it internally.
Yeah.
And that's now it looks much nicer.
Maybe it should be arg_a running context. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I do.
I think it's, for me, I don't know, things that get, like, context has to be there, right? It's the thing that's stable in every call of the GetValue function. Parameters that always come first, it's like this in pseudo object-oriented, and these arguments usually come first, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it really is the this of signals. Yeah.
+1.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to figure out if it has any.
Also, in this case, it could be carried.
Could you explain once more how you could say GetValue and know that it's a value and not a path?
You mean if I pass in?
I mean, on row 27, you say like const some variable equals GetValue. How do you know it's GetValue and not GetPath?
Oh, it's what I want. It depends on what you want to use it for. So, like an example, my action factory. Let's say I do state foo.bar, and for some reason I want this factory to use the value of the passed in state tag. And I say GetValue. But sometimes I rather want to use the path and rather use the state as a target. So for example, context state.set get path context arg.
Yeah, okay, I'm cool with that, but let's say the other way around. Let's say like const some variable equals get path context arg. You don't know if it's a path or if it's a value, right?
Oh yeah. Currently, if you did that with the current implementation, it would throw an error.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. What's kind of not in perfect tune here now is that if you pass in a function, but maybe that shouldn't be supported. And like now we're importing these from tags. So, but again, if it's a function you want to support, you could just do arg and just pass a context, because that's exactly what GetValue would do.
Yes, but we need that to handle it transparently, so that the support is there, whatever people pass in, if it's a normal tag or something they created themselves. So we have this instance of tag to detect our tags, but then you have also just type of fields function, and then you just resolve.
Christian, I have another question. GetPath exists on every tag, and it means that tags is something about to handle with passes. But we have one exception. It's a string, and it operates on just generated string, which is a pass, and
that's a good point.
So maybe we shouldn't call it pass as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. What Alexei is talking about is that we have this string, which could be like hello state user.name, for example. And then if you use get path, that doesn't really make sense.
So what you're saying is that you need to check for instance of.
They are all instance of tag. It's not the point. Now just string has a option that it special tag that can't have a value, and just
okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Do you have any suggestions, Alexei, instead of get path?
I don't have suggestions right now, but I think that we now just fixing a scope tags to just some things to deal with tags, but it also could be in other libraries something to extract that doesn't cover with tags with passes. But there is another point that we can't introduce much different tags because extraction based on context or another getters that Cerebral provides to tags. So extensibility, there is no much extensibility here, in fact.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
Just I wanted to say that it's not always a tag, because like I have this example here in the demo where we create the reference. Where is it? Maybe here. We have key equals make ref, so that's just a function here. It's not a tag, and I think it's good that we support this, because it's a shame if we cannot create helper functions at all.
Yeah, maybe we should have an example. Like if you say set foo and then compute value, and then say input foo with input bar, for example. So you can actually create this kind of thing. And with the initial resolve arg approach, you would be able to just use resolve arg, and then this would kind of work.
Yes, that's exactly my point. I have this a couple of times in the demo for computing the elapsed time, computing a new reference for a new object, and simple things like this. And I find it's very clean, makes good code, and it's simple to implement, actually.
Yeah. So you could do RB, for example. So
why computedval you can't use? It needs context, right?
Yes. So what happens here is that
resolve arg is bound to context.
Yes, because so resolve arg knows about the correct input because it's bound to the context. Yeah, so in this case, like the setter, it currently just uses resolve arg on whatever value is passed to set. And in this case, if it's a function, it will just extend. It will just extend the context of, or sorry, not the context, but extend the value by giving the function the context, and then you can continue to use resolve arg, and you're still inside the same context, and you can. That's what I meant by you can kind of compose this up and up and up if you want to.
So again, what is so bad with the first, like resolve arg, other than polluting the context?
No, but I think we can use toValue, toPath, or to whatever, and still handle this situation.
Yeah, it's just that GetValue doesn't necessarily have anything to do with a tag.
Yes, exactly. So we can have GetValue, getString, getPath. That's good. That's very good for me. GetString could be the thing that gets the path anyway, but yeah, getPath is. I mean, if you're handling with state, it's. I mean, everyone understands getPath. I mean. GetString might make it confusing. For me, it's strange.
There's just to me, there's like two inconsistencies with this approach, and one of them is that we're importing GetValue from tags, but it's not a tag we're getting the value from. And the second is the getPath. Well, you have the same with resolve arg, of course, but yeah, because it's not necessarily a path.
Yeah, I agree. But that's why I said on Discord, what are we going to call these things? Because yeah, it could be Cerebral helpers, and there's something about naming here that's not very clear yet. I agree.
But I suggest that because this was a really good discussion on it, so maybe we should just give some if anyone has like an official suggestion they want to come up with, let's put it in the issue, or sorry, on the pull request, and then we can decide there by voting. And
But yeah, I prefer the new version with GetValue context argument because it's not in the context, and it's not something that changes in the context. The function is the same wherever it's just the helper. So maybe we need Cerebral helpers, or I don't know.
Yeah, you have a point there, Gaspar, but still you will always pass context, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it could also work with resolve argument, with the full name for me. But
because when will you not use context?
No, I agree, but if we have a function that computes something, I don't think it belongs in the context. It takes the context as argument. So it's just.
You're right.
Yeah. Maybe we need Cerebral/helpers, or Cerebral something. And so, because we might get to create many of these things, I don't know. And it's, not going to go all in the context.
Yeah.
Well, Alex.
Yeah. I have to think about it a little bit, I think. Like, I don't disagree with this. It's just I'm not sure what's the most.
Yeah, but you're right. Let's think about it and see what comes out.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, there is a pull request called work in progress tags. So you can just create a comment there with a suggestion. But now at least you know what it's all about. Yes, is Wayne here? No. Oh. Let's see, and then it's computed. Computed is this thing that has changed a lot, going back and forth, and it's very, very hard to optimize it. Like with caching and all this, and it's kind of like it's an extra feature. It's like we have connect, and we have signals, and we have computed, and all this. So a kind of radical change is to drop it, computed, and it actually opens up for some new possibilities and more consistency. So like I showed the state, the new tags for connecting state, and it's kind of like the same in a signal, like set foo bar, and underneath, like this is kind of like the declarative approach, and then underneath here we actually have an imperative approach, which is the actual action, which is setting this stuff. And this is using state, set, whatever, and the point is that if we remove computed, we could do the same for connect. So this is like the declarative part, which you usually use, but when you need some more oomph, some more power, you can do, and I'm just inlining this now, you can do foo, and you can give it a function instead. And what this does is give you access to the props of the component, and it gives you a method for getting state, sorry, a function for getting state, and a function for getting signal. Now, the cool thing about this is that you can you can program the state dependency. You don't have to declare it. You program it. So you kind of like, if you want the user, okay, I'll just go and get the app.user, for example, and then I want to iterate on the user project IDs. Let's see. Yeah, because I want to return projects. Let's say user.project, sorry, map. And then I return project ID, return get state project, oops, get state projects, project ID, for example, or it could be an array or whatever. Now the point is that when this function is called by the component, it will track all the paths, state paths you pass into this get state. So it's very explicit, like you choose the exact state you want, and that will also become the state dependencies of the component.
I like that, but what about reusability of this approach? Because if you want to reusable it, we could land if the same situation, because we would need to import the function from the folder computeds enforced or whatever. So it would be more or less similar.
Yes. So it actually is very similar because you would do exactly what you say, like foo computed, and you will foo computed from computed foo whatever, and that file would contain only this function. So it just contains a function instead of.
But can we do it even now? Like.
Yeah,
we still can put the closure, the functions assigned to this props and connect, right?
The problem is that
or only to props, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the problem, there's one thing that tags will fix, and that is that the computed will not be just a function. It will be actually a class or an instance of a class. So it's possible to differentiate a function and a tag. So that's one thing that this will fix. But we also need to make this specific state dependency tracking work. We need to implement this get state. It's not just getting state. It's actually tracking the use of getting state. So it knows that, okay, in this component, let's say this user has one project. This component will only update if the user changes. Or I could even say user.project IDs to be more specific. This component will only update if project IDs or a specific project updates.
There is one more solution, maybe too crazy, like we could use for this feature. We could reuse some another library like MobX, which has perfect tracing. Yeah,
and I'm in constant battle with myself. Like MobX is so good at this stuff, and I think it's important that Cerebral doesn't try to kind of like solve what MobX solves, because it's like a different approach. And that is kind of like why I wanted to get away from computed as well. I just wanted it to be like, okay, you connect your component and you want to express its state dependencies. It's not like deriving state and all that really cool stuff from MobX. And that's just because that's not what Cerebral.
Yeah, but it means that it would be dependent on MobX, and once we taste the MobX power, we would be tempted to use it in other places.
Exactly. But it's yeah, it would be kind of cool to have that tracking. But what makes MobX really good to use is with classes. Because you have the decorators and you can kind of like decorate the properties and all this. But like Cerebral is completely opposite of classes. It's like just values, plain values.
But MobX doesn't need to work with classes. All these decorators are just wrappers, so it can work with plain with JavaScript functions. They are just wrappers. Decorator is nothing more than a function which wrap another function.
Yeah. That's true, but it's very hard to combine it with a state tree. I see that there's a project with that the MobX guy is working on, like MobX state tree, but it's very, I don't know, I briefly looked at it, but it looks very verbose. And I think the biggest problem is that MobX is very bad at tracking objects. In terms of adding and removing keys from objects, you have to kind of explicitly say that this object is something I want to.
Oh yes, because they are observables after all. They can be replaced. Yes. So it's the same in Knockout.js. I had to struggle in the past.
Yeah. So what I think it may be a mistake, not a mistake. It's really great that the MobX guy is experimenting with a state tree, but that was not the initial approach of MobX. It was like from a class-based project, and it fits very well there. And I don't think it will fit very well with the state tree. Like, state trees need a different approach for tracking.
So one more. What if we could just keep two ways? The one that would be the simple functions like we have now. Another would be we could reuse the MobX, but we would need to show people how to use it just for this tracing because it's so great.
Yeah, it would be cool to check it out. I'm very unsure how to implement it, but certainly experimenting with it.
But please, maybe next release, because we will never release.
Don't give any ideas.
Let's close the list of new features, please. I'm still waiting and waiting for the release.
But yeah.
Christian, just to come back to this new computed, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Mobix and tracking state. I think here it's very simple, very easy to understand, read, and debug. So I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's just a function with if you can make it work, like detect, I don't know, this from tags, I think you can, then it's really good because it's super simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just very, very, very simple, and yeah, that's really cool because you could just get some state, add 2 to it, change the date or whatever, and it runs.
Christian,
Mm-hmm.
how about to use computed within signal actions?
Yeah, good question. So the what thought to do here is, let's say we import the same, and we have my action. You just say state get foo computed, and if you want to pass it some props, you can do that. If not, the props argument will be an empty object.
So we just extend the model API to know about such computed functions. Yes.
Initially, I thought about like specifically the get and the state dependency here. Would know about it because you think about using it elsewhere, like with any kind of thing. Like, oh, sorry, a better example. You think like this, that the model knows it's that my initial thought was not like it's specific to, like this is where you can use it, like in state.get and in connect, and of course we can also use it with tags. Like hello, like.
But that, why do you have to have get signal in there? I'm just not sure this belongs into this.
It's because like now you can say bar state bar, and you can say signal clicked, signal clicked, and sometimes you do want, like, it's to open up the possibility of returning get signal get state current module, for example, and then you can say dot clicked. So based on the current module, it would change the signal.
But then you cannot use it in state get. The same computed, right?
Yeah, get signal is not in.
Okay, so that's just a gotcha. You have to take care if you want to reuse the computer, right?
Yes, and that is why the arguments are split. Like it's not an object, it's 3 arguments. It's because the last one will be omitted if you use state get.
Okay.
That's at least the current suggestion. So it really is computed. It's just that you, like you do with, like computed was too declarative. It was too difficult to pinpoint the state dependencies. For example, with the user and the projects, you would need to depend on all projects to be able to figure out what projects related to a user. So the computed would update anytime some project updated. But with this imperative approach, you can actually say these are the exact projects I care about. I like this approach.
But there's no caching, right?
Yes, so there's no caching. So there are 2 sides to this. One thing is like now you are more specific with your state dependencies. So that's kind of like one optimization. The other one is that it's possible to ensure that, let's say you have multiple state dependencies. So you have state bar here as well. So when bar changes, you don't really want this one to recompute. But the component knows about what state dependencies has been tracked inside this one. So it's no problem to make the component so smart that it understands that it doesn't need to run this one because it was bar that changed. So that's one optimization.
About flush changes.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, right.
And
good.
then, but then you're completely free to. Do we have?
But you could like memwise
Yes.
if you like to. Yeah.
You can do get project project IDs. Oh, this was const projects. And let's say you wanted to filter or something. You could do filter projects, for example. And this filter projects will be like, if you have tried memwise projects. I mean to say there are lots of projects that or packages that memwise functions for you. So you can just do that if you need it. It's not like you need an application that kind of like has a huge list of something, or like there are very specific scenarios you really need caching, and then you can just create a cache function. And then you can choose when you want to clear it. Maybe you want to clear it when the component unmounts. Maybe you want to clear it from a signal. It doesn't matter. You have kind of like that. You have to, like, if it's really important, you can manage it.
Guys, I can't resist the impression that we are making all too complex, too many ways of doing the same way. What do you think? Comparing to Cerebral 1, it's all getting more and more complex. We need to not go too much into the direction. I know it's cool, but
yeah,
it's so easy to understand in Cerebral 1. Just action can do all this stuff which can do. Now we do declarative also, but it's, after all, it's the same effect.
Yes,
so we'll not go too much into the direction because this will be too complex, especially that this is quite new, not very popular project, so people may be afraid of any complexity, which is not necessary.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, and that's why I want to have this very concrete separation of like the declarative side of Cerebral. That's the simple part. It's like you can just say what you want, and then you have it. But there's not a single project that doesn't need to go one step deeper to do something. But that's kind of like what I'm thinking when you're introduced to Cerebral. You should only look at tags and operators. Like you don't even have to be introduced to implementing actions or specifically not this stuff like what we talked about now. This is low level. Like if you really need to do some more complex state handling. So it's kind of like level 2.
Actions in Cerebral 1 were just quite simple, including this. You know, it's not too complex. You have everything in the context. You can do whatever you want. It's simple rules, simple, you know, options. But I'm afraid of too many options.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. It's very difficult to balance, like put down your foot and say, no, this is the scope of Cerebral. This is what it does. If you need to do something more complex, you just have to fix it yourself, or you have to use a different tool. It's a very hard thing to do because it's so fun to work on it as well and try to make things better and solve more complex issues. It's but I think it's very important not to introduce new users to low-level stuff.
Good. Separate like advanced stuff. It's good because for me, this Cerebral 2 version is actually simpler. Like if we don't have computed with caching, it makes a lot of things simpler to reason about, and that's more important than having, hey, there could be a function in connect. Having this simpler, actually, like the power of operators now, you could not. I mean, in the demo, we have a lot expressed just with operators, and it makes the code very clean. So I think it's actually a few good concepts, but they're used all over the place now, and so it's not that much to learn.
Yeah,
I think.
And for me, it's very difficult. Like, been working on it for so long, and as you said now, like the actions are very simple. So yeah, maybe it's better to teach people about actions, and then teach them about operators later, like to be more effective.
Yeah, because operators are like a idiomatic way, more more. Yeah, it's just smaller, less code, but it's a new concept.
More mind bending.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very good.
No, I don't agree.
It's cool.
No, it really depends where you come from. If you've been writing assembly, then operators are strange. But if you've been writing functional code, actions are weird.
Operators are too limited. That's the problem. But you very often need action because you need to do some more. Because operators are too simple for simple case. So now we are using two different approach.
No. Now that we have functions that you can put in operators to compute stuff that you need, I think operators are very powerful. I mean,
but I'd be surprised. Yeah, I agree. But do you want to keep this logic inside the chain of actions? Because then this reasoning tree became less readable, less obvious.
You create subchains like you would create actions. So instead of having a big action that does a lot of stuff, you have chains that you can reuse, that you can order around, and that's more powerful than just imperative code for me. So it really depends from your background. I think for some people, imperative code is difficult. For others, declarative code is difficult. Now you can choose either of them. You don't have to learn both at the same time. I think that's important.
But it's not only the problem of difficulty, but also the problem of more concept to learn.
Yeah.
Comparing to Cerebral 1,
Yeah.
Operators
both have very good points.
Operators, I like operators. I really like operators. But today I saw this getPath, GetValue, and other things. So it's more and more, the more into the rabbit hole.
But these are very advanced stuff. GetValue, getPath. It's not for normal users. And with Cerebral 1, deciding between immutable and mutable was a big brain stuff that was going on for ages for every project.
Yes. In fact, GetPath and GetValue is for library developers, not for users.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, as soon as we have advanced part as an independent section in documentation, that's fine.
Yeah, I think nevertheless, it's really important to think about what is the path into learning Cerebral. Is it like go through the basics, like low level, like actions and stuff, or should it start like on the declarative part, like very simple? But again, you don't understand what's actually happening. Or as you say, Gaspard, like, do you come from the functional world or do you come from the imperative world? Like that has something to, it affects what you think about the tool. So, but I'm very positive that we need the functionality to solve the things we want to solve.
Me too.
But,
But learning path is very nice if you can think about this, because if you read documentation and there is a strategy, you feel it, and it's like, hey, these guys put their feet into my shoes when they wrote it, and that's nice. So
yeah, but this is really good, and this is really good discussions. Like, what about these users and this problem and what about how they solve it? And yeah, it's very interesting. I could talk about this all day.
You had a haircut.
Yeah, it's actually my girlfriend who cut my hair. It was due time.
Happy New Year.
Gaspar, you had a haircut yourself, right?
I had a beard cut, yeah.
Beard cut, yeah, okay.
But guys, we're a bit on overtime.
To cut here.
I have to go. But
yeah, the same for me. It was a great hangout.
Yeah, thanks so much for the discussion.
Just one sentence. For me, it doesn't matter actually, because both solutions are great, can work together. But for me, the most important is to release this library too. Because if it's do 0.0, it looks solid for people who don't know it. If it's alpha, people are scared. I try to convince people to use it in the company, but when I heard it will change the API. It's alpha. They didn't want even listen.
Yeah.
No, I want to do this. Yes, sorry. I have this React thing in Zurich that I want to do, and if I have something stable released, it would be so much better. Even beta would be really nice.
Yeah.
I see a point about ready release, but as such things that it not all changes that could appear. That's why I said Christian that we shouldn't call it beta or release candidate, and it's my decision was to call it alpha, because you can see now we should bring pretty big changes, and it's very important changes that we should do before release. So, but we approach to release, and we try to keep it still backward compatible with deprecation warnings, and we just remove all deprecations in release and keep only new stuff. So I think it's a good point.
Do we plan to use let's say after release 2.0 to keep the semantic versioning? So if
of course.
So like Angular will be now jumping to 4, 5, 6. I know it looks strange, but it immediately indicates that API is changed.
Of course, we should use semantic release, and we are already using it, and it's the reason why we call current releases just alpha, because we should keeping ability to change a bit of API. Yes, our situation is pretty similar to Angular 2 release candidate, but we still call alpha, not candidates.
So let's change the name, and more people will be interested.
I think we're really near to release, but should make it as much clean as we can. I know we have not much great team, a huge team, so our possibilities are limited.
Yeah,
but at
we
least
have a great team, but it's not huge.
Yes, and we have to make it a bit cleaner than release of Cerebral 1. Cerebral 1 was a good release, but it was just let's fix that people already use, and we haven't focused on clean things.
Yeah, I totally agree, Alexei. And but it's really getting close now, and I'm super eager to get it done as well. So, but I just have one final message. Like, since Wayne couldn't do the demo, but he told me that he talked to I don't know if you've seen the service. It's like GraphQL as a service. It's called Scaffold or something. And he talked to them, and he's going to showcase Cerebral for them. To show off the GraphQL provider, and they said they would like to have like a demo of it on their site. So that's really cool. So looking forward to that. But yeah, we can do that demo next time, or you can just check out Wayne's to do MVC demo. I think he's pasted some links here and there. Sorry, Brian, we're actually closing now. But let me hear your voice, please.
Hey. This is the same thing I do at work. I show up for the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
As long as the boss sees that I was there, I'm okay.
Oh man, but we're going to have another hangout in not too long. I'll make sure I'll send you an SMS as well. We miss you.
I miss you guys too. I'll watch this one once it gets posted.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks again, guys, for the discussion.
Bye. Thanks.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
See you guys.